All right, so I'm first up. I think I won the toss or lost the toss. Anyway, I'm going to talk about just sanitation issues, and that's really what this whole thing is. We've kind of divided it up. Cleaning yourself, your clothes, your food handling, and then waste disposal is another biggie. And then Brenda's going to talk about the feminine hygiene, and then we're going to talk about oral hygiene and so forth. So, first of all, when Boy Scouts go out on camping, can you imagine they're not really great at washing the dishes? So there's a couple of things we do. They have a 3-bin system. So you get 3 bins like this. I think these were $2.50 a piece. But the other thing that we do is we get camping soap. What's the difference between camping soap and what you otherwise use?
It's good for the environment.
Biodegradable. And also, if you don't wash your dishes real good, you don't get diarrhea, which is not true with other stuff. So getting a good soap, there's my sister-in-law sells Basic H one. So those are things, and then the 3 bins are, the first one is to so you wipe off all of the food, and then it's got the soap in it. The second one is a cold rinse. And the third one, depending on which thing you read, is either a very hot rinse or a hot rinse with 4 or 5 drops of bleach in it, so that it disinfects it. And then what they recommend is you put them in a mesh and hang them up to dry, so that they air dry. You don't have cross-contamination if you're drying with a towel and you didn't wash one of them really good. You can cross-contaminate the other. So you want to use some scrubbers. You want to get off as much food as you can, because you don't want it. You want this water to last. And then when you're getting ready to dump it, you dump out the soapy water. You dump the rinse water into the soapy water bin, swish it around and dump it out, and then dump the sterilization water, which is hot and usually has a little bit of Clorox or some sort of disinfectant in it that you drop in the second one, then drop in the first one, and that's how you clean them, and then you air dry. So those are just, that's a really inexpensive way to be able to take care of your dishes. So that, like I say, I think the bins were $2.59 or something a piece, and then having some water or some soap that is the camping soap that's biodegradable and also doesn't cause diarrhea is a good idea. So also then, you don't want to get sick from your dishes. You don't want to get sick from not washing your hands. So when we don't have much water, we go, well, we won't, we'll skimp on washing our hands, which then tends to be a problem. So you want to have hand sanitizer, or you, and I forgot to bring this. I have some knee-high nylons that I bought. And my kids were like, "Whoa, are those for Mom?" Nope, they're mine. And I put in a bar of soap and hang it, so then you can wash with that. It gets you plenty of soap, but then it dries out so it doesn't get so mushy. And then it also, as it dries out, it kills the bacteria. So then that's one of the ways you can.
How do your hands off the soap?
So then you have to have at least some water to do it. You can use the sterilization, the hand sanitizer is another option. Doing a bath, when I was in Korea, we'd have about this much water to do our bath with. So we'd put a little on us and kind of sponge down, and then we'd use another sponge to wash it off. So being able to do a sponge bath with about 2 gallons of water was a real trick, but we all learned to do it, and we did okay. None of us got too sick while we were there. The same thing with your hair. You want, again, some shampoo that's pretty easy. Quite honestly, on the Apollo program, they use this to clean the cabins and wash their hair and wash their hands. And it's biodegradable.
And that, what was the name of that again?
It's called Basic H. I can pass it around if you want. It used to be big 50 years ago.
Does shampoo expire?
Well, shampoo has a lot of other chemicals in them, a lot of the shampoos. And then if you don't have enough water to wash it out, then those chemicals actually absorb through your skin. So that's the idea behind having some of these, kind of universal cleaners. Yeah.
I have a client, she's 93 years old, and she was telling me the other day that they would only wash their hair once a week when she was younger.
Mm-hmm.
And to get through the other days, they would put salt in their hair and they would absorb it. Have you ever heard anything like that before?
Salt works. Cornstarch works.
That's a bigger than also.
Well, and then the other thing you can do is, wear a hat so you don't get as much dirt in your hair. That's hard for me because I hate wearing a hat, but also brushing your hair gets the dirt out without having to do so. So, emergency sanitation. So one of the problems is what do you do when you don't have any way to flush the toilet? Well, a short-term fix. So at the hospital, somebody flushed down a regular diaper that clogged the entire hospital. This is like 12, 15 years ago. And so they put liners, plastic liners in the toilets, and then they cleaned them out and went through a lot of plastic liners. That's an easy way to do it. You can get just these seats that fit on a 5-gallon bucket, and then this one has all of the it has some bacteria that will eat your stuff, and it's got wipes and toilet paper and plastic liners in it that came all in a kit, which wasn't very much, but that's a fairly easy thing that you can have do it. You can also make a seat by taking a pool noodle and stick it on a 5-gallon bucket, and now you got a toilet seat. So, and then you've got to figure out what to do to get rid of the waste. Now, one of the things that helps with that is if you do the solid waste on one toilet and the liquid waste on another one. The solid waste is the stuff that is the hardest to get rid of. The liquid waste is not so much. Yeah, and doesn't sting near as bad. So then you only have to change out the solid waste.
The other thing is to do it when it's halfway full.
Oh yeah, you don't want to wait till they're really, really full.
Could that?
Yeah. So the other thing is, in Vietnam they would have these porta potties on a 55-gallon drum with a platform that they'd use, and then they'd take the drums over and they'd pour in diesel and light them on fire and burn it all. I'm not sure that's such a good idea, but it is an option, and it keeps down the contamination. They couldn't bury it there because of the humidity, and all the animals would dig it up and stuff. So, but if you bag it, disinfect with bleach, and then you want to bury it away from where your well is.
Do you need bags that are like biodegradable? So that rather than like a plastic bag?
At that point, it wouldn't matter. Now, there are plastic bags, like the plastic bags that come with this one are biodegradable. So there are plastic bags that are biodegradable.
Right.
So,
Would you
but,
turn that around so I can see the name of it?
sure,
Thank you.
Luggable Lube.
Luggable Lou, thank you.
That's a cute name too.
So there's a whole bunch of these out there. So these are, this is just one brand.
Right.
But I try and keep several options because otherwise people won't be happy with me.
Cost-wise,
What's that?
kit there, how much does that run cost-wise?
It's been a while since I bought it, but
Oh.
I think it was like 25.
Okay.
Yeah, so 25, 30. They usually aren't terribly expensive. But if nothing else, have some
$20
plastic
REI.
bag, 20 bucks. Have some plastic bags. Don't be caught short without them. The other way they say to do it is if you're doing that, you can put a ball on a sock and stick it down in the hole of your toilet so that, tennis ball, and then so that it plugs it up because you're planning on using that again. I mean, long term, you're going to need something more along this line. So sanitation, have some gloves. So there's the disposable gloves, but also having like the cleaning gloves that you used to have is helpful because sometimes you're going to need reusable gloves. And then just having bags and hand sanitizer and also having a spray bottle so you can dilute some of this stuff out, really dilute and spray it on the surfaces. Soap and detergent, plastic buckets with a tight lid so you can use like the Gamma lid that then when you close it up, it's sealed, which will help some of the smell. And Sister Whitey's going to talk about feminine supplies and so forth. But just having some of that at your house, then if you need it, you can gather it up and start to use it. So mention the toilets, the luggable loo, you can sometimes find the bedside commodes. And this shows you putting the liner in. A little duct tape's helpful because then it doesn't slip through, and because you don't want the liner to get stuck down in the line and not be able to get it out. And so these commode liners are the ones that come in this one that are compostable. Any question on?
What do you use for the other side?
So let's say, I was going to mention that with the pandemic, but we'll jump in now. So somebody gets sick and throws up. You don't have a lot to clean up with. Well, what's kitty litter? It's zeolite and absorbs the stuff really well. So that's actually one of the things they recommend in pandemic preparedness is having a bunch of kitty litter around, because then if somebody's throwing up on the floor and you've got limited water resources, you can use that to absorb it and then use your spray bottle to disinfect down it. Okay?
The other thing you might think about is if you have older kids, they may not want to be next to their younger siblings, so you may want to have a couple of different places for
Yeah.
them to.
Yeah. So, I mean, think about what works well for you, but you may need several of these around. And here's the idea of splitting the urine and the solid waste. And then here's the liner, the pool noodle, and they even have the toilet paper hanging on the side.
So this is actually probably my least favorite subject in emergency preparedness, hygiene. Not that I don't like hygiene, I do hygiene, it's all good, but it's probably the least, one I know least about. And this is actually, I know that she talked about this being used also for feminine hygiene, but this is actually something that we have for each of my family members. Each of them, and we use this as an emergency for, they have to do their business in the woods. So they fill this up. The Perry bottle is just used to rinse. They use this, and then the wipe there is used to dry, and that's what it's used for. And then you.
Hands or private areas or both?
I'm talking about if you have to do number 2 in the woods. This is what we use.
Okay.
So each of us have one of these. And so one of probably the number one concern in a third world country, the vast majority of people die from dysentery. That's what they die from. And that's because of lack of hygiene. Keeping their hands clean, keeping their bodies clean. It's good for avoiding infection. It's just super important. And it's usually not at the top of people's list when they think about survival, is being clean. Now, because this is one of, like, it's not my favorite, but so you can use toilet paper, you can store that if you're, you know, it just takes up a lot of space, right? So, and that's one thing that I would say about, you know, the diapers, the reusable diapers, they may not be great to use if you're at home. It's fine if you have diapers, but what happens when you're not at home? What are you going to use? If you have to be portable, what if you have to move? You're not going to take boxes and boxes of diapers, nor are you going to take boxes and boxes of toilet paper. You know, if you have a choice between toilet paper and food, or toilet paper and your sleeping bag, what are you going to take? You know, so you have to think portable also. It's nice to be stationary, but in emergency preparedness, I think it's important to be portable. And so that's why those serve a great purpose. Now, in the presence, or I'd like to take a second here, and I'd like to invite a guest that I asked to come here, because he made one of the best portable sinks I've seen, bar none. And so I'm going to ask him to come up, Chad Allen, and he brought his sink.
How portable it is.
Well, but it's really important to keep your hands clean, and this can be done by any of you. And we'll actually put a link. We'll put a link onto the website, Approaching Readiness. And this is his sink that he made, and it's a hand washing sink to keep your hands clean. I think it's really important, and there's actually, he has a link to this on and this is just done with some Home Depot 5-gallon buckets. And I'm gonna give him a second to kind of explain what this is and how it works, because I thought it was so impressive.
Well, my wife convinced me that she needed this. And one of her friends, it was a year, how long ago was it? It was a year ago?
2 years ago.
2 years
So I have
ago?
all the supplies for this, we just haven't got together to make it.
Anyway, so,
I wish I had a workshop.
if you have some spare time, it doesn't take a whole lot of time.
So Chad, the chair you bought at the DI, right? Or,
Yeah, let me go
or
over that.
Goodwill or something like that?
Yeah, so, what, I've probably spent $50 on all this stuff, give or take. But the chair I got at Home Depot is $2, or not Home Depot, I got it at
Goodwill.
Goodwill, $2. I sawed that off, and then after I sawed that off, my kids broke one of my other wooden chairs just like it, so. Couple of buckets, and then you've got some, you can makeshift and change it however you want. This is kind of what I did, and it was the first time I've ever made it. I'd probably change some things now that I've messed with a little bit, but, so what you do is you have your clean water down here, and you're you have your drain here, you hook that all up. I can take it apart and show you guys a little later, but, and then you have your pump system here. This is a fuel pump for, like your little,
Can you hold that
engine,
up?
your little, motor, your little, yeah, motorboat engine, little tiny motorboat.
there
So
you
you
go.
squeeze that, and that pumps the gas to the engine out of the gas tank. And I made a little pedal out of some scrap wood. And you have your lid.
What's your lid there? Chad?
This lid is the top of another bucket, and I think that I have to buy some
2
buckets. I've done this.
Yeah, it's 2
I haven't
lids.
done this in a while, so. You bought 2 lids, yeah, that's right. Anyway, I don't even remember how I made it. Anyway, 2 lids and you cut off the top of that bucket, screw it in here, and so it fits snugly. I put some silicone in here and drilled a hole through there. Anyway, this is a fuel line from Napa Auto Parts. It's probably $5-6 maybe, and they bend really easy. Anyway, so you just it'll take a little bit. And so you can sit here and you can just wash your hands. And one thing I noticed with my children is if it's not convenient, they're not going to wash their hands with anybody really. So.
Yeah.
And then, so your dirty water, your gray water drops into this bucket. It's all sealed off and contained. And then if your neighbor, maybe Craig, comes by and he made you upset, you can give him some water to drink. You know? But it's just a real handy. I mean, it requires a little bit of time. I don't know how long it took me. It took me
So
a
how
few hours.
you did the hole in the chair, how did you do that?
I just cut it with my,
Your skill sawyers?
yeah, my
You tried marketing now?
jigsaw.
Yeah.
So I have a comment and a question. My comment is, could you imagine how nice that would be on the tracks that I've been on the
Right.
video of? This is just like.
And so, I mean, and this all breaks down. The big bulky thing is the chair. You can figure out a different way without that chair, and you can break it down in 2 buckets and just carry it like that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different ways. You can make it smaller, bigger, whatever you want.
Well, if you're out in the woods, what's your source of water?
That's the thing. You have to have a source of water for it to work. Obviously, you have to have a river or stream or
Yeah.
Yeah.
something.
Yep.
So you're relying on
You rely on water.
the integrity of the street.
No.
Well,
You
Or
could
can't you
boil your
disinfect
water
the water
first,
first?
you could boil the water and then put the
So,
water.
so one thing that
Yeah,
become really
that's true.
important, and the reason I really like this system
Right.
is because if you're in an emergency situation and you don't have water, you're gonna wanna conserve as much water as you can. That means even though this water, most people would think to throw it away, this water can be filtered
Yeah.
and it can be reused. So it's a great way to conserve water, to keep clean, and it's fairly inexpensive, and anybody can make this. And I'll make sure that Lee gets the link to this. There's actually a video. There's actually a YouTube video that you can watch that will show you step by step how to make this.
Yeah.
So,
The question I have is, what made you tinker with this until you got it functioning at this point? This is amazing. That's really amazing.
I just basically, I watched the video and saw his steps, and I don't know,
It's great.
I followed his steps and changed a few things that I thought I could improve on, and there's still some things I may improve on, but I'm too busy right now.
yeah,
So are you saying that this water can be reused again?
it absolutely can be
By
reused.
using
Yeah.
But you want to filter it.
You would definitely want to filter it before you reuse it, obviously.
Okay.
But if you're trying to conserve water, you're capturing that water. You're not losing that water on the ground
Yeah.
that's going away. That's the nice part about this is that you can reuse that water.
Hoses.
Okay.
So if you're really in an emergency situation, you don't have a lot of water, it's a great way to do it. Plus, you get to keep your hands clean. And I think Chad brings up an excellent point. If it's not convenient, your kids probably aren't going to be washing their hands, right? So it's got to be convenient. It's got to be accessible. And I just think this is, I mean, you can make a couple of these, you know, really cheaply, and it's a great way to keep clean and to keep germs and disease away from you.
Okay.
So how do you filter the water? Activated carbon or what?
Oh, sure. You can make your own you can make your own filter. We talked about last time some of the water filters that we had in here. Any of those, just about any of those would work in this situation.
My question would be how you keep the kids away from it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Disconnected.
This is the lap of luxury out
Yeah,
there.
no,
It's
well,
This is amazing.
It is.
It's fun.
This is
fun.
In a good way.
So yeah, I just think it's a great way. So I wanted to invite Chad today to show kind of what he came up with or what he had seen and made, because I just think it's a fabulous way. I do want to make a few other comments about sanitation and stuff. I don't know how many of you have, like, I have one of these at home. I have the Luggle lift. I sat down on this thing. Have any of you tried to sit down on one of these?
Well,
They were
that's the good
pretty.
thing about that, Craig, you take off the buckets and what do you have there?
Yeah, so they are really flimsy, but that was my point that I was gonna come up with actually, is that if you take a chair like this, or you take even 2x4s with a sheet of plywood, you make a hole, just get yourself a regular toilet seat. A regular toilet seat screwed into that plywood and put a 5-gallon bucket underneath it. And you have the same thing, and it's a lot more comfortable. And, so I actually have one of those, but it wasn't until later I started thinking about it and actually sat on one of those, like, man, I'll break that thing in 2 seconds. I'm way too big for this.
I've actually seen toilet seats made for the 5-gallon buckets.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, that's what this is. This has a toilet seat
But that doesn't look as strong as those.
that has a toilet seat.
I also saw somebody mounted a toilet seat on a receiver hitch, so they just stuck it in the back of their truck on the receiver hitch and then put a bucket underneath.
And there's no excuse.
So,
Yeah,
Because I sit on those all the time when I'm gardening.
yeah. So, for myself, I like to take my time when I do my business, and that would hurt me, so I'm just saying, that's my plan, since I have a toilet seat at home, you know, I have some wood, some screws, and I'm gonna make my own and put a 5-gallon bucket underneath it, you know. So, that's just a thought and an idea. Some of the other things I wanna talk about, real quick is, go ahead, question.
I was going to say you could buy quite a few hand wipes,
Yes.
sanitary.
Yeah, sanitary hand wipes are great, especially I think in a short-term scenario, you know, 72-hour scenario, they're fabulous to use. This is probably more of a long-term thing, the base camp type scenario. However, the thing I do like about this setup here is that it literally does break down into 2 buckets, and you can store other stuff besides your sink in here.
Well, that's
for
very
transport.
innovative. That would be a great shower item.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can actually.
So, yeah, I mean, you could use it as a shower, and we're gonna talk a little bit about, in fact, I'm gonna talk a little bit about showers. So, right out of high school, I actually wasn't going to serve a mission right out of high school, and I remember I called my dad, I was living in Utah at the time, and I said, Dad, I'm not gonna serve a mission. And he said, okay, what are you gonna do? And I said, well, actually I ended up serving a mission, but I said, well, Dad, I'm gonna be a truck driver. And he said, and he was living in Idaho at the time, and he said, hold that thought, and he hung up on me. And I'm like, what? Anyway, within 3 hours, my dad was at the front door saying, all right, you're coming with me and we're joining the military. So I joined the military right out of high school. And I remember we would go to these annual trainings every year. We'd have 2-3 weeks out in the desert, and we're outside of Boise, Idaho, in the desert, a place called Gowan Field. And I don't know if any of you have been out in that area, but they get these huge tracks running over it, and it creates a layer of dust that's that thick, and it just goes up everywhere, and you just get drenched in dust. It's the worst feeling. And you don't get a shower. It's miserable. And for about a week into it, you're just thinking, what did I sign up for? This is horrible. I just want to be done with that, right? But about a week and a half into it, they allow you to take 1 shower. And so you get 1 shower. And I'll tell you what, after you've had that 1 shower, living in the wild, you feel like you could go another month. It is amazing how refreshing just 1 shower is. So, I actually have laundry stuff there. I'm going to go to that in a second. But, so I have a couple examples. Now, there's a camp, this is a camp shower shelter that you can buy. They have them cheaper than this, they have them more expensive than this, and you can even do it differently than this. In fact, I have a rain tarp that can easily be nailed to a couple of trees around to surround me, that can easily serve as a shower shelter. And so, but showering is going to be so important for morale, not only to keep away disease and keep away, infections, but to boost morale. If you're in that type of situation, you have to shower. I'm telling you, it makes all the difference in the world. So having a shower shelter here is a really simple solar shower. It's called a sun shower. I think I bought this probably for $10. You notice you fill up the bag, you put it up and it attracts heat and through solar. It heats your water, has a little spigot here on the end, and then allows you to shower. Now they have some, there's one actually online that I couldn't find mine, but it's called the Simple Shower. I have some. And it's literally, if you take a 2-liter water bottle, and it has a little tip, the shower head just like that, and you just turn it over, and it's a shower. I mean, it's that simple, and it's like $12 for those. And it's called Simple Shower. If you go onto Amazon and type in Simple Shower, they're like $12. Now, because I know the value of a shower, I decided to splurge a little bit for myself, and I bought something called the Zodi Extreme. Now, this is what this is. It has actually, you fill this up with water, and it actually has a temperature gauge here on the side, so it tells you how hot your water is. So you put your water in. If you've heard of a rocket stove, I don't know how many, we've talked a little bit about those, but this goes right on top of my rocket stove. So if this is my rocket stove right there, and it heats the water. As it heats the water, I pressurize it by this, it hooks up to this, and then I have a hot shower. So now they have all kinds of showers that can be made. We were talking to Brother Osler, Lee Osler, and he was telling us that he took one of the things that you spray weeds with, you know, one of the little pump handles, right? And he jimmy rigged it and put a little shower head on it, so he pumps it and he can shower. So there's a lot of different ways you can come up with showers.
So how much was that Zodi?
You know, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't remember offhand, but probably I'm guessing like $100, somewhere in that range. Check.
You can take the, the faucet, the spray here on the
Yeah.
faucet sink and attach that to a pump can and attach it right to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, my husband was always a big scouter camper thing, and he took me someplace that was hot and dirty, and he said, "Oh yeah, there's showers in the bathroom," and there were no showers in the bathroom. And I was so angry, and we'd been married about a year. Anyway, but he had this black thing that he just hung up in the tree with water in it, and it got warm enough, and we didn't have any shelter, so I actually had my swimming suit on. But at least I could wash my hair and get, the dirt. And, yeah, but it was just really simple.
Yeah, and that's exactly what this is. And in fact, even this one, even in this camp shower shelter, I don't know if you can see this on the side, but it actually comes with that very thing right there.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what it is, just a black bag.
$180 on Amazon Prime.
Oh, 180, okay.
Zodiac one?
Yeah. Or you can use a Clorox bottle and a golf tee.
Yeah, I mean, there's all, there are so many ways, and
Yeah,
if you just type in,
You pull it out, and the water comes out.
And
there's
mostly it's, think about it ahead of time.
yeah. And so this thing right here, the Zodi Extreme, this is not portable though. I mean, if I'm going by foot, I'm not taking that with me, right? So
Depends on it.
what am I going to want to take with me? I'm going to want to take something similar to this. And there's actually one, oh boy, I just saw it. It's about that big, and essentially all it is the bag that has a spigot on it that turns just like that, and you can hang it up. I forget the name of it right now, but there are things that are portable also. So my big thing is that I want to know what I have to do if I have to be stationary. I want to know what I'm going to do if I have to be mobile, if I have to move. So that's another example. So we'll go a little bit into soap. We mentioned earlier, Neil mentioned a little earlier about the little nylons and putting the bar of soap. So one of the things I've done for my family is you can go to Costco, and for about $18 you can buy a whole stack of bar soap, right? Well, I've done that, so I have 52. I have 52 bars. That's a bar a week, right? For a year. That's a year's supply of soap right there. Now, I could use that soap to wash my hair. I can use it to wash my hands. However, I would recommend that you don't share soap. Okay? One of the reasons I wouldn't share soap is because you don't know how well you've washed your hands all the time, or your kids may may not wash their hands all that well right after, you know, let's say the guy before had some type of disease or something on his hands. He washes, right? Well, your kid comes up, picks up that same bar of soap, then comes here, but doesn't get all the soap off, right? So I would keep soap individualized, is what I would do. I would assign a bar of soap to each of your kids in a box to keep it individualized, just to make sure that you're not spreading disease. Now, pump soap, liquid soap is probably gonna work better. You're probably gonna have less issues with that.
What did
As-
you say
go
about
ahead.
liquid soap again?
About what?
Liquid soap, you said that there's a.
You're probably less likely to spread disease with the liquid
Oh,
soap
but
than you
not
would
the
be
bar
with
soap,
a bar
okay.
soap, yeah.
Yeah,
The other thing that we have that I've used for washing clothes, and this is kind of an ancient, I don't know if it's ancient, but it's been around a long time. And that is Phelps naphtha. And I don't know how many of you know what this is, but it's used for washing clothes. I would recommend that you have gloves when you use it though. It's really hard on your hands. But this stuff is awesome.
And it's really inexpensive.
Really inexpensive, stores for a long time.
If it's that hard on your hands, what does it do with your clothes?
Well, it actually cleans clothes very well.
But it
Yeah.
doesn't ruin the clothes, I mean, doesn't.
No, it doesn't ruin your clothes, no.
Is that essentially a lye soap?
I don't know exactly what it is.
can I see it?
Sure, yeah, we can pass it around. You can take a look at it. But you can buy these, when I go to Walmart, I'll find them there, and I think they sell them for 80 cents
Yeah.
a bar at Walmart.
What
I
department?
mean,
What department?
just where they have their soaps.
Oh, really?
So like, their laundry detergent is where you'll find it, yeah. And usually, when I've gone, they're down on the very bottom. No one ever gets
Not
them.
hot on them. They're on the top in one cup.
Oh, okay. That's on the top one, okay.
The reason I asked you about the lye soap is during the Second World War, my mother made it with bacon grease
Oh, yeah.
and caustic.
Yeah, yeah. So in an emergency situation, if you had to make your own soap, right, you're gonna need a grease, an animal grease, or I guess you could use an oil of some type, a plant oil, I suppose you could use. But usually what they use an animal oil. They'll use some type of alkali substrate, something that's alkaline, so like wood that's been burnt down, and they mix those two, they use a lye with it. So that's how they make it. I would recommend, there's not enough time to go into that here tonight, because we're down to a few minutes, but all that stuff can be YouTubed, how to make your own soap, if you're into it, or in an emergency situation, something like that.
Learn it before you need it.
Yes,
Because you probably won't have access to
yeah,
it.
learn it before you
I don't
need
have
it.
to worry about it.
I think that's about the things that I had, so they do have a lot of different types that you can make. Borax, I know my wife, one of the ways that we plan on making laundry soap to do our laundries is we could use just the plain Phelps naphtha, but we also mix it with borax. And she has a recipe for doing that, but it's a mixture of borax, Phelps naphtha, and I want to say baking soda, but I'm not 100%
Yeah, it's
sure.
right up there.
Oh,
Right
okay.
up there.
Oh, okay, oh yeah, right there.
So is that Phelps naphtha, is that the super washing soda?
Yeah.
No.
Well,
No,
no, that's
what
the
is-
baking soda, it's
Big
a
yellow
silver,
box.
it's Arm & Hammer soap, but it's the yellow box.
Is that big yellow box?
So this is the first time I've actually seen this slide, so take a picture.
I did.
Okay.
It was online.
But all of this, all the stuff that we had, the handouts today, all this stuff will be online
Where?
and
Yeah, that's,
on the approaching ready,
yeah, that's missing one thing.
approaching ready.
Trisodium phosphate.
Try something possible, okay.
Should be.
Yeah, we were even videoing it, and so I do the videos.
All right. How we doing there?
So with that bar,
What?
so that bar of laundry soap?
Yeah.
Are you only using a portion of it then?
Yeah,
Well, of course.
yeah, you don't need to use the whole bar, so, yeah.
Just cut off one.
Yeah, you can actually, I mean, what we plan to do is just taking like a cheese grater with that stuff and grating it into a 5-gallon bucket.
She's been a good idea.
Yeah, grating into a 5-gallon bucket,
Yeah.
pour in your mixture of borax or your other ingredients,
Sure.
mix it up, put your clothes in there. This is great because like here, you have a
handle.
so you have the hole in the top there. So you would take this right here. It goes up inside just like that. And you put it on. The handle again. And then you can just wash your clothes.
Oh, cool
Okay.
idea, yeah.
It's kind of a little
Okay, yeah.
oh, there's water in there.
By the way, there's water in there.
By the way.
So how do you filter the water then, so you can use it for both laundry and for washing hands and stuff like that?
So last time we had a class on water filters and stuff like that. And how to-
I was sick, but
Yeah,
that's
okay. So, yeah,
But it's online.
but it's online. There's a website called Approaching Ready
Okay,
that has the course that was recorded like this from last time.
Okay.
So, but yeah, you would filter the water the same way. You could distill the water
okay,
and it would work.
okay.
Yep, okay. So, oh yeah, oral hygiene, of course. The dentist would get oral hygiene. So, oral hygiene can be really important. So that really there are two things that really make a difference when you're in these survival situations, in these camping scenarios. I'm telling you, if you can shower and if you can brush your teeth, your morale and your will to survive is going to be
Willingness
so
to
much.
put up with.
And to put up with your
So much.
situation, it just makes all the difference in the world. So I just can't stress that enough. Just, I mean, we could be so down. The moment you get that shower, you get to brush your teeth, it changes everything. And in the mornings, that's how we get by. We got to wash our face a little bit, and we got to brush our teeth. So now, toothbrushes and toothpaste can be fairly expensive. If you're going to Walmart, you're spending about $2 to $3 for a toothbrush. It's very expensive. It's not cheap. And if you think about how many times you have to change your toothbrush out or how you use your toothbrush, it can add up really quickly and can be prohibitively expensive for some families. Let me give you a hint right now. Each of you here has a dentist. Each of you can go to your dentist and ask to order bulk toothbrushes. If they can order you some bulk toothbrushes. Sister Madison might have a hard time doing that. I don't know, finding a dentist. I'm gonna volunteer Sister Madison. Your husband. So, go get these. I mean, for a bulk of toothbrushes like this, I don't know, there's probably 15 in here. Like this is probably $5. That's super cheap. Dentists have the ability, and we have enough dentists in our state and in your wards for everybody with toothbrushes. Now, in the reality of things, though, if let's say you don't have a toothbrush, if you had a choice between toothbrush and floss, which would you want? Floss. Right? You need floss. Really, you need something that's going to be able to go between your teeth. Because I can take 90% of brushing your teeth is the mechanical removal of plaque. That's what it is. And that can be removed with your finger. I mean, it's literally the thing that you can't do is you can't get between your teeth. And that's what's going to cause you the problems. So, I mean, you could literally bite on a stick if you had to, and just biting on that stick, the mechanical chewing on a stick would remove plaque off of your teeth. That wouldn't be very fun, but if you had to, you could do that fairly easily and take that stick and just start scraping. Now, that's pretty abrasive on your teeth, but in an emergency situation, it would work. Taking a cloth on your finger and rubbing it over your teeth. You can clean the surface of your teeth, but it's the flossing that you're really going to need. Toothpaste is great if you can get it. Again, toothpaste and toothbrushes and floss. I would go to a dentist and I would say, can you order, I know you guys get a big bulk of this stuff, and just order it. I have a whole tote, like that yellow tote down there, full of toothbrushes and toothpaste, and And reality is that I know that I'll never use that, all those, but I know that there'll be people that come along that won't have it. If there's anything I can do, I can say, here, take a toothbrush, you
It'll
know?
make your day better.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And it makes all the difference in the world. Okay. I think, are there any,
I had a question about the back one, the do-it-yourself toothpaste, the neem powder. What is that? Is it baking soda and neem powder on that
you know,
previous
I
slide?
didn't see that.
Oh, the
Hold on.
baking soda, like you can make
Right
your
there,
own.
neem powder.
I
Yeah,
know
what
my
is
dad,
neem?
growing up, my dad always just used baking soda to brush
Yeah.
his teeth, and I have done that several times myself. Just cause I used to see him do it, just water, baking soda and
You
brush
can
your
make
teeth.
a, like,
And it actually gets a lot of stuff off more than regular toothpaste at times if you feel like you're
or
getting
get
it.
a bee sting, you
That-
just mix.
Yeah, but I've never heard of the neem powder.
Yeah, I've not heard of neem powder either.
Okay,
Having said that, so I haven't seen these slides, so.
okay, I was just.
Yeah,
wondering.
having said that though, baking soda works, regular toothpaste works. Really, a toothbrush with just water is going to work just about as good as just baking soda. Literally, it's the mechanical removal of plaque is what we're trying to accomplish here. So you can literally, as long as you have it, okay? So it's pretty simple, straightforward. I think that's the end of our presentation. We've got a little bit over time.
So this is the website.
Okay,
Approach.
yeah, approachingready.com. And all of this stuff will be on there, including a link to Chad Allen's sink here. We'll make sure that gets on there, because I think this is a fabulous idea. Everyone, thank you for coming out.
Thank you.